残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ。
Oh, you were expecting a Dota 2 video, weren't you? You were expecting Ags Weaver or Huskar Dragonlance. Too bad. This is my world and you're living in it. Hey, you want to talk about religion in anime? I do. If you have watched enough anime for long enough, you'll see a certain pattern come up every now and then. Anime shows don't like the church. Now, when I say the church, I don't specifically mean the Catholic Church. I mean organized religion as a whole. In a lot of these shows, Catholicism is never referred to by name, but the iconography is heavily implied in some cases. You are going to be okay. While watching the 8th Sum this season, we are introduced to the leader of a church, and immediately I thought, oh, he's going to be a villain for sure. I mean, look at him. His name is Hohenheim. But why is this? What is this trope? Let's run down a quick list of shows off the top of my head that feature religion in some way or another. We have Full Metal Alchemist, Rising of the Shield Hero, Konosuba, Cautious Hero, Castlevania, Ascendance of a Bookworm, Wise Man's Grandchild, Saga of Tanya the Evil, and a Certain Magical Index. I'm sure there's more, but those are really the ones I thought of immediately. All these shows, in some part, feature an evil church or criticize religion in some way. But let's dive a little deeper. In Japan, the main religions are Shinto and Buddhism, religions that don't have large organizations or a church like the West does. It's more interpersonal. Also note that Christianity is only followed by 1.5% of the population in Japan. It's not a deep-rooted institution in Japan like it is in the West. So in Japan, Christianity is similar to a cult. Does this mean Japan hates Christianity? Is anime a machination of the devil? No, not quite. Shintoism is the belief of ancestors and nature spirits and in sacred power called kami, in animate and inanimate things. The best comparison I can relate to is when you step into a church and you can feel that that building has a soul, such as an old building with thousands of previous gatherings. Or when you look at the Sistine Chapel or St. Peter's Basilica, you get the feeling that these are important buildings, that these buildings have a soul. They have power. Speaking of power over people, let's talk about an evil fucking cult. On March 20th, 1995, a terrorist attack was carried out by the Shinriko cult, orchestrated by Shoko Asahara. Sarin gas was released on 3 lines of the Tokyo Metro during rush hour, killing 12 and critically injuring 50. Shinriko was a doomsday cult, believing that the end of the world was coming by nuclear war with America. They did this terrorist attack, thinking it would be blamed on America, and thus starting World War III. Throughout Japan's history, you could find stories about cults with varying levels of infamy. The Yamagashi Society, a hippie commune that takes away children from their parents, the Panwave Laboratory, a doomsday cult that thought the world was going to end due to electromagnetic waves. These mad lads tried to steal a seal and return him to the Arctic to prevent doomsday. Kind of based. The Life Space Movement, there was this insane guy, thought he went through 6,000 years of reincarnation, thought he was a spiritual healer, and to prove it, he killed a man and mummified him in a hotel room. A large part of these cults is giving away all your money and possessions to the cult as a way of freeing yourself from the material, man. Even if you don't believe in or practice a religion, you can't deny the power it has over people. But what does this have to do with anime? Well, with headlines like those, you can see why writers in Japan would take notice and write some of that zeitgeist into their stories. Art imitates life or some shit. In Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the Elric brothers fight the leader of the Church of Leto, led by a deceitful priest. The whole point of forming the church was to amass followers that were not afraid of death to stage a coup d'etat. In Wise Man's Grandchild, Sicily was almost raped by an archbishop. Other members of the church want to discredit Shin because he's being referred to as Chosen One by the Pope, and the Pope wants to name him as the Chosen One because that gives the church more power. In Netflix's Castlevania, the church burns Dracula's wife at the stake because she was practicing medicine, which was perceived as work of the devil by the church. In Ascension of a Bookworm, the church is shown as greedy and corrupt and nearly killing Maine's family. In Tanya the Evil, she is literally fighting against the will of God. How edgy. In most shows, the church is seen as corrupt, if not outright evil. Nobody watching the show would be that upset if your character beat up an evil cult. It's almost a convenient bad guy for Japan. Cults and new religious movements are all over Asia, and their effect on communities can be as bad as extortion and manipulation, all the way up to terrorism. These groups may start with good intentions, but ultimately power corrupts. I imagine the rush of telling hundreds or thousands of people what to do warps your psyche. Due to religious freedom, there's not much government or the police can do until it's too late. What people can do is criticize and parody these groups, and that's just what they do in anime shows. Nothing is more disarming than comedy and parody. No one would want to join a group that's seen as a joke. Thank you for reading my essay. I hope you enjoyed reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to meet my fellow Pastafarians and worship the flying spaghetti monster. Country road, この道